Hey everybody, welcome back to another severe storm film or weather forecast. In this forecast, we have a lot to talk about, including the potential for strong, violent, potentially long-tracked tornadoes through the central plains and the southern plains for the daytime hours tomorrow. That includes the states of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska, potentially into the southwestern portion of Iowa, Missouri, western portion mainly, as well as northwestern Arkansas, and potentially North Texas could potentially see some pretty bad severe weather here. But the biggest threat is in this big red area right here, the moderate risk area, which we are anticipating to be a bit further east and north by the time we get into tomorrow morning, perhaps with another brighter color in here, meaning, guys, a rare 5 out of 5 high risk could potentially be issued for this event. Let's hop into the models without further ado so we can time out the severe thunderstorms for your neck of the woods. Alright guys, so the primary areas here I zoomed in on are the enhanced and moderate risk areas. And like I said, we could have this expansion happening as well as an expansion to the enhanced risk, of course, to fit that. And we will likely have a high risk somewhere in here. So just be mindful of that. But as we time out these thunderstorms with the HRRR model here, this is our 18Z run. As we go into the overnight hours, we will likely clear the skies out from our earlier on thunderstorms today. Today is Sunday the 5th, but tomorrow will be the 6th. And then as we go into tomorrow morning, any thunderstorms or showers that develop in this region will likely not be enough to limit the severe threat, all right? Because watch what happens. Those will likely get on out of there, and we will likely start seeing some pretty robust thunderstorm development by the time we get 2, 3, 4 p.m. hour here. By the time we get into that time frame, and then we're likely going to see some southern development into the moderate risk region by the time we get into 5, 6 p.m. here. This will likely start as a damaging wind risk, transfer off to a large hail risk, and then I'm going to zoom into this moderate risk area. And cities like Oklahoma City and Norman, major cities and cities surrounding it, as well as Wichita, will have to watch these discrete cells that try to bubble up here along the line, all right? Because if this one is alone, we could potentially, could potentially be the cell that produces a long track tornado. All right, this could potentially lead it into the enhanced risk area too. Like I said, we're also anticipating a moderate risk expansion into this area. So this enhanced risk will likely turn to moderate for cities like Tulsa, getting up into any more major cities north of that. But as we continue this time frame, that's all will continue to propagate off to the east. Now, what catches my attention is that this cell is very, very alone by the time we get into 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. CDT. All right, that is a big deal, all right? And I'm going to zoom in on Tulsa because of that. And then as we go into the 10, 11 p.m. hour here, that discrete cell will pass right over the city of Tulsa. All right, and this could potentially put down a ton of hail as well as the potential for a long track tornado or two. All right, so that's why the moderate risk will be here, and that's why that potential high risk will be in here too. So just be mindful of that. They don't get high risks here very often. So this is going to be one heck of an outbreak tomorrow here. And on the northern end, we'll likely see some sort of Boeing segment trying to develop here into the slight risk, soon to be enhanced risk region as we go into that region. And then as we continue this, we could have a derecho on our hands, friends. This is a possibility considering that we will likely have wind damage going from state to state to state. And it could potentially be producing a ton of wind damage, 60, 70, 80 plus mile per hour winds. So we could have 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. We can even have upwards of an isolated 90 mile an hour wind gust. Can't rule that out either. So it's pretty significant as we go into that time frame. But Tulsa and the moderate risk severe threat area will likely end, and it will likely be handed over to a mainly wind-driven risk here. Again, we could potentially see a 45% wind risk area here, perhaps a hatched risk area as well, for the potential of acknowledging a derecho potential as we move, as it moves into Iowa, Missouri, getting into Illinois, and then that'll start the Tuesday threat, and that could perhaps go all the way into Indiana. So this could very much definitely be a derecho. We're just going to need to see the kinematics and dynamics come together here for it, and this model run just ended, so we're going to take a look at our Day 3 outlook here, which is our Tuesday outlook. It's not very pronounced here. We're not anticipating like a big outbreak, but we could see still some significant severe weather left over in this region here, with the potential expansion a bit further east and perhaps a bit further like this. So the slight risk, instead of it being like this as it is now, it will likely be expanded a bit further east on all edges. All right, that's just my prediction right now because of all the ingredients we have here. And speaking of ingredients, let's take a look at those real quick. And that all begins with our first ingredient being our moisture intake from the Gulf of Mexico, friends, all right? And we have plentiful moisture all the way up and down this region today for the rest of our Sunday here. Then as we advance this into our day tomorrow, notice this is what's going to be driving the big severe risk tomorrow here. And this is what's going to be driving the derecho potential as well, keeping those thunderstorms going at night, my friends. So that's going to be something to watch here. That derecho potential, MCS, if not a derecho, will likely continue to propagate off to the east. We'll likely see that expanding into the Ohio Valley, damaging winds definite if this continues here. This could definitely be a derecho all the way in this region, all the way over here. So if you're in the circle, you have a derecho potential going into the day on early Tuesday into Tuesday afternoon. And then as we go into our Tuesday night, that moisture will kind of wane off, but you guys can see that we have a lot of moisture intake in this region, and it's not likely going to stay like this because we have more 60-degree dew points. This could perhaps be a bit further north and east, so we're going to need to watch how that slight risk moves here. That'll likely include the cities of Cleveland as well as Canton as we go into that time frame, as well as Detroit and perhaps Buffalo, New York, if enough moisture extends further north. That's a little uncertain right now, but regardless, that risk area will likely cover major cities of Cleveland and Detroit as we go into that time frame. And then as we go into our Wednesday, which could be our next significant day across the United States for severe weather, we go into the evening time frame here. You guys can see. Actually, let me pull up Wednesday's outlook just so you guys can get a good understanding here. Here is Wednesday's outlook. You guys can see that yellow border right there from Ohio down into North Texas. This will likely allow a 30% somewhere in here, and this threat could potentially be extended a bit further east. All right, so I know that includes portions of northeastern Oklahoma. However, I think that 15% will likely be a bit minimized. All right, and as we go into this time frame, you guys can see really not enough moisture north of this line. All right, so you guys can see anywhere south of this line is really going to have severe weather for Wednesday night into Thursday morning. However, if you are north of the line, you will likely not see overnight severe weather. However, that moisture could potentially be a bit further north or south than it's showing. Just be mindful of that. That models always have their differences. And then as we go into our Thursday, all the threat areas will likely be minimized to down here. Perhaps a threat up here in the Ohio Valley. 50-degree dew points is an exception, especially for severe weather this time of year. Now taking a look at our convective available potential energy, aka the thunderstorm juice we have in the atmosphere. This afternoon we had a lot of juice in the atmosphere for thunderstorms all the way up and down this region right here. Well, we had the severe weather in this region. Have even had a couple stronger storms up here in the Ohio Valley, but that is waning off now. But watch as the surge of instability just rockets, just surges. These instability rates into the 3,000 to 4,000 joules per kilogram category as we go into tomorrow evening, guys, across this big portion of where the severe threat's going to be. All right, guys, this is likely going to be the biggest hail threat as well as the long track tornado risk. Again, guys, so just be mindful of that. Then as we go into the overnight, again, that Boeing segment will likely propagate off towards the east. There are some model differences with the instability. I do think this could be a bit further east, hence the short-term models, but we'll see. Again, a derecho potential is there, but we'll have to actually see what happens as we go into that time frame when it comes, so that we can kind of get a better definition of it. And then as we go into our Tuesday throughout the day, we'll likely see the energy expanding all the way into the Ohio Valley, back down into Texas. Main threat will likely be in this region right here into southwestern Ohio, down into perhaps northern Arkansas. All of this will likely just be general thunderstorms, no severe weather anticipated there. But as we go into our Tuesday evening, we will likely see a severe threat all the way in this region, and we will likely see a wind threat primarily in that region as well. And then our next concerning day comes as we go throughout the day on Wednesday. Are you serious? This is definitely wrong, guys. I know that's wrong. I was just playing a joke. But anyways, you guys can see widespread 3,000 to 4,000 joules per kilogram CAPE in these regions by the time we get into our Wednesday. My other models show this a bit further north and perhaps a bit further west, not east, a bit further west than what this is showing. So we're going to need to monitor trends and see, but regardless, this could be a really big day for these regions right here. Perhaps these regions too. We're going to have to see how far north that little region extends here. But as we go into our Thursday, we will likely have a big Gulf Coast threat down here, and we will likely perhaps have another outbreak to talk about down here with all the instability we have. And I wanted to show you guys what's driving this entire system here and why we have such a big threat. All right, guys, so but look how much like wind energy we have in the atmosphere. By the time we get into about 5-6 p.m. tomorrow, look at this big trough here. This is negatively tilted, almost a elongated trough there, so that would probably be an even bigger risk there. But anyways, you guys can see that ahead of this boundary we'll likely have that severe weather threat. And we will likely see that continuing off to the east as we go into our overnight hours. And then our Tuesday threat will likely come in here with that line progressing eastward. And then as we go into our Tuesday evening, we'll likely see a lot of wind energy in this region. With overlapping ingredients, we'll likely have a pretty decent amount of severe weather in this region, perhaps significant severe weather, perhaps damaging wind driven. So we're going to need to watch that closely. Regardless, though, we will have a severe threat pretty much in this entire region throughout the next couple days. So just be ready for that. I'm going to do a cutoff line here. Anywhere north of this line is really unmaximized from the severe weather. But anywhere south of the line, you still have the potential there for severe weather over the next couple days here. But anyways, enough with the blabber from me. Let's take a look at our Wednesday jet energy here. As you can see, not nearly as strong, but this is mid-level wind energy, all right? So you guys can see we still have an elongated trough. Another negatively tilted trough is possible with another storm system. And as we go into our Thursday, this is when the Gulf Coast is going to heat up with severe weather here. And then as we go into our Friday, things become very uncertain. But all things said, we'll likely have some sort of severe threat up and down the East Coast. And then as we go further and further and further, perhaps another piece of energy. And it just gets crazy from here. But regardless, guys, we have overlapping ingredients in pretty much all of these regions that I'm circling. Alright, so if I didn't circle you, you're probably not in the highest risk for severe weather in the next couple days. However, if I did circle you in that blue circle right there, you do have a shot at pretty big severe weather over the course of the next couple days. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and stay safe. Have multiple ways of receiving alerts. There is a big risk for severe weather in the Central Plains and eastward. Have a great night, everybody.